I'm allowed to do this?
Yeah, absolutely. He's enjoying this.
So who would sit here? The Speaker would sit here.
Absolutely. The presiding officer.
And the interesting thing about this is they're just North Terrace windows along there. So the Parliament was so close to the people.
To the people, yeah. To the train station.
And to the train station. Probably not a very entertaining video because I'm just really enjoying this. One quick question to any of your federal colleagues. With the new tax breaks, am I allowed to buy this for $20,000 and write it off on tax before June 30? Because this is a really comfortable, ergonomic chair. Maybe? No?
I think you need to write to the Speaker and ask for his permission. I'm not sure. Can we do you a replica?
I could go with a replica and just not tell it. Oh, we're filming it.
Please be standing. The Adelaide Visa Council is now in session.
It's time again for the Adelaide Visa Council, and this week coming to you from the old Parliament House inside the chamber.
Welcome.
Thank you for letting us in here.
Well, I think it's Mr. Speaker that you have to thank.
Is that me? Because I'm sitting in the Speaker's chair?
Well, you're missing the horsey wig and the robes.
Oh, so we thank the proper Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Atkinson, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Michael Atkinson. We have three cases before us tonight in the Adelaide Visa Council. These are people who have been talking about Adelaide on social media, in particular Twitter, and referring to it in a way that we must deem is either worthy of being granted an Adelaide visa or having it revoked. So here are the first defendants. And the first case involves Tim Lee. This hallowed council has deemed you worthy of an Adelaide visa. Now, Co-Councillor Leesa, you have the official stamp. Let's do this. Thank you. Congratulations, Tim. Now, Tim's comment was actually to Chris Purcell, whose Twitter handle is Chris PAFC, which is short for Port Adelaide Football Club, forever. And his response to Tim's comment was this: "But councillor, do we need a city full of cheese graters? Wouldn't that be more of an eyesore than having certain buildings punctuate the city skyline?"
I would like to have a ban on all ugly buildings.
Okay.
I'd like to see some rebirthing. I think what we've done with KW2 and the Mayfair and buildings like that.
The one that's over the road that they've added the little shields to and thing, and the sunscreens and things.
Yeah, there's
vast
There's
improvements.
way of rebirthing buildings that are renewal focused that are exciting.
Yeah.
So therefore, as far as Ray GT or Rayget is concerned, visa granted, no case to answer, or visa rejected for daring to suggest we need more buildings like deep fried potatoes. To answer, what would that be? We've got goodbye, love,
Hello.
hello.
Thank you. I think that's a
thank
thank
you.
you.
I think a thank
that's
you.
a thank you
It's
for
good.
being thought-provoking
Yeah.
and pushing the boundaries.
Hello, welcome to tonight's edition of the Adelaide Show podcast. Our special guest, Leesa Vlahos MP, who has given us access, with Michael Atkinson's blessing, to the old chamber.
Yes, very happy to host you in Parliament House and showcase democracy in action.
It's gorgeous here. So how significant? There was an emblem on a table. Is there much history about this place among the MPs of today?
Well, I think we're all very fond of this chamber because we don't shout at each other so much in the chamber. This is the first chamber where the first parliaments were listening and considering matters of democracy in our state. These days we come together and have speakers talk to us and educate us and fill up our intellectual cups so that we make good decisions. So I see it as more as a space of pulling together the community and MPs. So I think that's a great way to frame democracy.
And that is what we hear more about tonight as we talk to you about your time in Parliament, etc. What was his challenge like in Is It News, digging up some old stories of Parliament House?
It was challenging because I'm not a South Australian by birth, so you did a lot of research and back of house stuff that I quite admired. I thought it was very clever.
Thank you.
And can we also just pay due respect to the leather jacket that Leesa is wearing tonight? Why are you wearing a leather jacket to Parliament?
We lost Joan Kearney yesterday, and she was a woman who I admired greatly for encouraging women into Parliament and politics. So I'm wearing my I Love Rock and Roll leather jacket today, and I wore it to Question Time because I thought I'm going to go home and turn on the Runaways. They're full belt with a bit of Susie Quatcher on the way home.
Very nice. And the last thing, of course, is to mention in particular Max Martin talking about food and the food industry, which we'll all be listening to with peeled eyes and ears, because you're working on the healthy eating thing at the moment.
Yeah, and poly houses and glass houses are all through my electorate, and food and pivoting into Asia is a centre house of what we're doing at the moment for jobs growth in the state.
Wow. So all that and more coming up on tonight's episode of the Adelaide Show. Download us at theadelaideshow.com.au. Listen to us on iTunes or whatever podcast player you play. Subscribe. You'll always get our programs. And just before we finish, can I have one last sit in that seat before we go?
Yep.
That's gorgeous.
First, like grapes and wheat from our first exports.
Oh, yes.
State emblem and the bloodline, where House of Commons, they used to have 2.5 sword links. Actually, we're allowed to bring swords in, so then they invented this standing order that you couldn't bring swords in, so that they had lines so that you couldn't fight each other.
I think we should bring that back, swords in Parliament.
Actually,
Pistols and revolvers for me.
Pistols.
A choice of weapon.
We'd have our first female premier before you knew it.
Well, no, Vicky's a good shooter as well.
Oh, is she? What a great shootout that would be.
Yeah, I'd have to get my Annie Elthry outfitted if I did that.